Nintendo does not like piracy. Nintendo does not like emulation. They do not want you to do these things with your systems. They do not want you to use your Nintendo console in a way that goes against their terms of service if it is not legally acquiring and playing approved software. Then they don't want to know about it. They don't want you doing it. We all know this. So going into a new generation, Switch 2 is coming, and Nintendo has updated their account user agreement. And it's funny because I just did a video a few days ago on how they have reserved the right to record people using the camera. And, you know, I was watching that video back after the fact, and I wish that I had put a little bit more emphasis on them just trying to enforce their own rules. Because, yeah, I kind of put a bigger focus on the idea of, like, people committing crimes, you know, of like, having to record people so you can, like, give the cops your footage or whatever. But that's just, like, that's one potential element. But it even says there, they reserve the right to do it to enforce their own terms of service. So there's also just the whole angle of, like, are you breaking the rules? Are you creating trouble? Then we reserve the right to, you know, to review what you've been doing and potentially ban your account or whatever. And I don't know if that means they're always recording everybody a little bit, so that if they get reported, they can, like, look at the footage and decide to ban the person? Or is it like, if you get reported, then you get on the list, and then they're going to record you? I don't really know. Are they going to do any of that literally at all? Or are they just kind of saying, hey, we could, so you better not act out? I don't know, but I wanted to mention that, and that is kind of related to this. Yes, they've updated their account user agreement. Basically, they do not want you to do things to your Switch 2 that you should not do. And, you know, this is not a change itself, per se. They've always not wanted you to do those naughty things. But now they've really given a complete overhaul to the whole entire wording of it. And it's really funny. The old version is as follows. You are not allowed to lease, rent, sublicense, publish, copy, modify, adapt, translate, reverse engineer, decompile, or disassemble all or any portion of the Nintendo account services without Nintendo's written consent or unless otherwise expressly permitted by applicable law. So, all right. I mean, sure. It gets the idea across. But we've got the new version now to go along with Switch 2. And, well, let's just read it as quickly as I can. Without limitation, you agree that you may not A. Publish, copy, modify, reverse engineer, lease, rent, decompile, disassemble, distribute, offer for sale, or create derivative works of any portion of the Nintendo account services. B. Bypass, modify, decrypt, defeat, tamper with, or otherwise circumvent any of the functions or protections of the Nintendo account services, including through the use of any hardware or software that would cause the Nintendo account services to operate other than in accordance with its documentation and intended use. C. Obtain, install, or use any unauthorized copies of Nintendo account services. Or D. Exploit the Nintendo account services in any manner other than to use them in accordance with the applicable documentation and intended use, in each case without Nintendo's written consent or express authorization, or unless otherwise expressly permitted by applicable law. All right, so translation. It's a lot of legalese, but don't worry, I'm an expert. Basically, the original version said, don't do bad things. And the new version says, hey, do not do any bad things, and we're extra serious. It very much reads like an angry parent who's had this conversation way too many times, and they are just done. But that is not the interesting part. The interesting part is they have also added a little chunk of what they might actually do to you if you do any of these naughty things. It says right here, you acknowledge that if you fail to comply with the foregoing restrictions, Nintendo may render the Nintendo account services and or the applicable Nintendo device permanently unusable in whole or in part. So basically, they are reserving the right to brick your Switch 2. To just, like, kill it. Just, like, remotely kill it. They're saying if you step out of line, you try to do something with your system you're not supposed to do, we could just kill it. We could brick it for you. And this isn't like, I mean, having a bricked system, that's always been kind of like the risk of modifying a system at all. It's one reason I've never wanted to do it. I mean, there's a million reasons, mostly just I'm lazy, but also just this idea that I'll mess up and it'll screw it up. So like it's always been, you know, a possibility. You modify your system, it could get screwed up. And there's always this idea, what if they do it? You know, what if they, because it's been this long history of like, which version of the software, the firmware do you have to do it? And all of these weird, you know, all these hoops you gotta jump through. And I've always wondered, like, would it be easy for Nintendo or any company to just kind of like, there's gotta be flags. There's gotta be some way that they can tell things are being tampered with. And I feel like in theory, they would be able to just kind of do whatever they want if they noticed. I really don't know how it works. Maybe it's not so obvious from their perspective. Maybe there are workarounds. But yeah, basically that is what they're saying now, though. If we do catch you doing this stuff, then we can render your device permanently unusable in whole or in part. And I imagine that in part could just mean certain stuff, you know, it could just be like, oh, like game chat is now, you know, again, looking at the camera and the terms of service, just no game chat. We're just going to permanently lock you out of game chat from this account, like forever. Or I don't know, maybe they could shut down your access to the eShop or something. I really don't know. But yeah, it does say in whole or in part. So in theory, they could notice that you have hacked your Switch. Sorry, we don't want you to do that. So there it is. It's done. It's gone. It's dead. It's a dead system now. And I imagine they could also probably just shut down your Nintendo account. Now, realistically, is this going to happen? Is there anything new here? It's a brand new system. So I don't know. Again, I don't know much about it, but like in theory, does that mean that they have better methods now for detecting when a person has altered their system? It's possible. Or is it like, no, we've always had it, we're just gonna be more strict about it now. We're actually gonna do it. Now we're putting it right here. We are warning everybody that this is a possibility. Or is it just that they want to scare us? It could just be like the camera thing. Yeah, in theory, they could monitor this stuff and they could threaten it, but like, I don't know. Does that mean that they're actually gonna do it? Like, literally ever? Are we gonna start getting accounts of like people who are like, yeah, I tried to modify my Switch 2 and look, they bricked it. Like the second it touched the internet, it noticed that it had been tampered with and it just doesn't work anymore? Is that gonna happen? I really don't know. I really honestly don't know. And as with so many things, it's like kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of split. It's kind of unfortunate. I really do think it's a little bit silly that you can dictate what a person does with a device that they bought, especially because there are a lot of ways to modify these things that are, you know, not illegal. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be stealing games, but on the other hand, it probably usually does. It's probably usually what people do on these things, or they're emulating, which doesn't necessarily. Never mind. I'm not going to dredge up the whole entire thing of whether or not it's okay. I get where they're coming from. You know, I get it. I see it. I can. That's the thing. People are like, oh, evil Nintendo. I can't believe that they want us to not pirate all their games. You know what I mean? I get it. Like, yeah. Again, on the one hand, yeah, let me do whatever I want. But on the other hand, yeah, I could pirate games. I could steal them if I modify my Switch. So I understand why Nintendo would do this. I don't think this is just them being backwards or evil or whatever. It's just them trying to protect themselves. And I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. And honestly, like, if I were a big company And I was trying to protect myself, and if I felt that piracy and emulation were something of a threat, they're really not. Even like if you just look at the raw statistics, I will take a side there. It's not really. You're not really losing a lot of sales from piracy. Whatever. If I were a company and I felt that I had to take that position, I have to take that stance of like piracy is bad, we have to prevent people from modifying our systems, then like, yeah, I would put a clause in there that says we can brick your system. Why not? Like, just why not? You know, most people are not gonna do any of this. I'm not gonna do any of this. I'm not gonna modify my system. I don't have to worry about it. Nobody has to worry about it unless they are really seriously modifying their, like, if you're doing that, if you, like, that's your thing, then, like, you do you. But there's always risks involved. They know that you know the risks. So if there's an extra risk of, like, yeah, we'll just brick it. You'll just lose your money. That'll just be money down the toilet. Might as well flush your Switch 2 down the toilet. You'll have to buy a brand new one if you want a new one. Don't break the terms of service again. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I guess going forward, we'll see if this is an empty threat or what. But yeah, if any of you are planning on modifying your Nintendo Switch 2 hardware, be really careful. I'm not hoping your system gets bricked, but like, if it does, then, I don't know. That stinks. It's a real shame. Now I'm imagining a company like having like a real software command. Like, here's an update that we can push to a Switch, to break it, to just kill it. And if you're doing that, you could do it in any way you wanted. Obviously, you could just like, I don't know, it crashes. It's just an error message. But like, if this is a purposeful thing, this is a real thing. No, this is an official software update that is reserved for people who have flagged the system because they're modifying their Switch 2. So like, you could make it like a thing. It could do it like in a fun Nintendo way, you know? Nintendo's all about taking normal things and like making something fun out of them, you know? Even just something like, like transferring data from one system to another. That's a simple process. You know, but let's make a little fun thing out of it. Let's have little Pikmin like carrying the data around. Well, if we're gonna brick someone's system, make it fun. Have a little animation. You know, like Mario has like brick blocks. You could use that. Have like a picture of a brick block come up, and it's like, sorry, your system has been bricked. Game over. You'll have to buy a new Switch too. Sorry, man. You could do one for every game series. This is fun. This is like Alarmo. It's like you have little themes, you know. Ganondorf comes up. Darkness has covered the land, and your Switch has been bricked. This is the downfall timeline. Ganondorf says, I may be the king of evil, but even I wouldn't pirate a Nintendo game.